explored all the planets already. There's no more planets to explore, except for the exoplanets, but they're like billion light years away.
Fear not. Moons. Well, okay, Mercury has no moons, Venus has no moons, Earth has one moon that we've already set foot on, Mars has 2 moons, but they're lame. But then the outer planets, they all have like a whole bunch of moons. For Earth's moon, I built this. Basically just a thing starting the outside that's after Earth, I guess. This is what the moons of Uranus and Neptune, they're going to be kind of like that, but you're going to go to them like during the floor, so like you'll leave the main planet, go over here, and then back on those floors, rather than this just being at the end. But for Jupiter and Saturn, though, the 2 moons that I decided I'm going to build for those planets are far more interesting, and will be getting their own section over here, like has been the case for most of the planets so far. Those moons would be Jupiter's moon Io and Saturn's moon Titan, right? Because for each planet, I'm only going to do 1 moon. If I did any more than that, it would just be like too much, I feel like. We'll talk more about what makes these moons interesting later on, but for now what you need to know is that Io has tons of volcanoes on it, which I felt would be more interesting to build than other moons of Jupiter, such as its largest, Ganymede. Titan, though, is in fact Saturn's largest moon and its most interesting. It's the only celestial body besides Earth with surface liquid, because as it turns out, the window of conditions needed for that is rather small. But it's not water like it is on Earth. Since Titan is much colder, it's liquid methane. You'll find lakes of it on a landscape reminiscent of home, hence the title of this video. But before we get to the building of Io and Titan, first let's talk about some prerequisites. Specifically, these 2 custom client objects I made. Wait, there's 3. These are the same thing. Okay. Specifically, they are the WaterColorChanger and the RegenRateChanger. Let's start with the WaterColorChanger. So, as you can see over there, there's some like terrain water, and you can change the color of that by going to workspace.terrain.watercolor and changing this. You can see it'll change the color of that. Now, the problem with just changing that is it's going to change the color of the water across the entire tower, and so with nothing else to change that, it'll just remain that way throughout the whole tower. And so we're going to be using terrain water on Earth and on Titan, where I want them to be different colors. So if I just set it to be the color of Earth, then it's not going to work for Titan, and if I set it to work for Titan, it's not going to work for Earth. So during the game, I need to change that. So that's why I made a WaterColorChanger. So to make a custom client object, you need to add a part inside client-sided objects, and it's important that you give it a bool value called client object, otherwise the client object script, which you also need, is just not going to run. I didn't do that and then was really confused why it wasn't working, but no, it was just that, so yeah, make sure you put that. And like I said, you also need the client object script, which is a module script. A module script is a type of script that is like run from another script. Specifically for all client objects, that other script is the local part script. And then inside this module script, the important thing is that you have return function, and then within that, you'll basically write all of the code for how you want your custom client object to run. You might want to add some other values and stuff inside the part if that's going to be necessary, or you just want it to be like that for the custom client object you're trying to code. So for instance here, I have a color 3 value called watercolor where you specify that. I think that's just a little bit easier than opening up the client object script and then changing a variable or something inside here. So that's the WaterColorChanger. It's pretty simple, but unfortunately it wasn't quite as simple for the RegenRateChanger. Well, first of all, what this is going to do is change the rate at which you regenerate health. Let me temporarily delete in starter character scripts this health script I added. It's because if there isn't a script named health inside starter character scripts, then Roblox will insert one into your character automatically, and it will look like this. Keep that in mind when I Control Z to add that back, and you will see this looks pretty similar. It's a modified version of it. And also notice this regen rate number value inside here. Rather than it being a variable within the script, it is a number value like inside the script object. Now I've put this as a number value like that so that this can be changed like more easily. If we go to the RegenRateChanger, you'll see we have the module script, client object script. What this RegenRateChanger is going to do is it is going to use a remote event to communicate from the client. Since it's being run by the local script called local part script, this is running on the client. So we need to communicate from the client to the server. So to do that, you need to use a remote event, which is a new one that I put inside replicated storage called change regen rate. So when you step on the RegenRateChanger, that remote event is going to be fired with some information being passed for the server to use. Specifically, new regen rate value, which is the number that you specified right here. Now over here, this is where we're listening for that remote event to be fired. As you can see, change regen rate event.onServer event, so when it's fired, we will run this. We have the player. This is like always there with on server event. This will always be here. It's the player, the client that fired the remote event. The next one is going to be anything you put over here on the fire server. So any information you decided to pass from the client to the server, which is just one thing, the number that I want to change the regen rate to. So that's why I didn't actually end up using player inside this. I only used new regen rate value to update the current one. Now it is worth noting that when you specify new regen rate, it's like the fraction of the max health that it's going to be regenerating every second, rather than just like an integer. So like this other one here, which will set the regen rate to be 5 health per second, I put 5 out of 100, or 5 divided by 100, which is 0.05. This RegenRateChanger, I set that to 0. So this is actually a healing disabler. And so on the Titan floor extension, your healing is going to be disabled for that whole time. So that's the reason why I needed to make that. As you can see, I took some damage there, so now I'm down to like low health. You can see I am regenerating it. But when I step right here where the healing disabler is, you can see it stops. And if I step on the one that sets it to 5 health per second, you can see it's regenerating at intervals of 5. So there we go. That was a simple client object and a slightly more complicated one. And both of these are going to be used on the Titan floor extension, which is not what we're going to be building first. Instead, we're going to be building Io, which is the moldy cheese moon of Jupiter. See, it looks like moldy cheese. I decided to position it right here. The reason I haven't built parkour from Jupiter to Saturn yet is because I was going to build this. So like, you wouldn't go that way. You're instead going to go from here to here. So we're going to build some gameplay, starting from the end of the Jupiter floor where you get teleported to here to up there. I'm calling these floor extensions. So technically this is part of the Jupiter floor, floor 6, but like in, the time of how long this takes or how long this takes, I'm not including their floor extensions. So while they're technically part of the floor, I'm not really considering them to be other than just saying they're the floor extension of this. I'm going to try to make this gameplay that leads up to there be very easy, since it doesn't have a safety net, and this was right after the end of Jupiter's rising metallic hydrogen thing. So I want this to be simple and easy gameplay, even though still, if you fall, your run ends. We can start with some slanty wraps like that, and this one is quite slanted, so we'll have it so you jump off of here rather than here. On to the next thing, which is going to be a pushing platform. I'm going to have this pushing platform be what is most of the way leading up there. We'll have this gameplay start with these slanty wraparounds, then you'll do an X pusher kind of challenge thing, then a few more slanty wraparounds until you get up to there. Since the X pusher is here and the moon is up there, I want the prismatic constraint to go at an angle like this. To do that, you just need to take attachment 1 and attachment 0, and then you just rotate them the same amount in the same direction. And then you want it to be pointing like the direction you want it to go. So like I rotated this one so that this arrow points that way, and I rotated this one so that this arrow points that way. So they're sort of parallel like that. And now, as you can see, the X pusher will move like that. This isn't just going to be a normal X pusher though, because boring. Instead, I'm going to take a spinning platform and attach it to it, then weld 2 more parts to the central spinner so that they spin around the X pusher. The idea is that you'd have to move the X pusher at the right time so that the spinners can go through gaps in a wall. To make that easier, I put a temporary transparent part so I can see the path of the X pusher, which is the path of the prismatic constraint. I also made a temporary union showing where the spinners actually are to see where I should put the gaps in the wall. And to more easily move it along the path, I rotated its pivot. Then I built a few walls and shapes like this before finishing the outside with a few more jumps, mostly slanty wraparounds. Okay, there we go. And I'll put like a teleporter or something. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do that, like if I'm going to do like a lighting changer animation kind of thing. But for now, I'm just going to put a teleporter. And that teleporter is going to teleport you over to here, where I've already set up a little bit of this floor extension. This sign reads, "Welcome to Io, a moon of Jupiter with lots of volcanoes. There's an insta-kill lava everywhere up ahead, but luckily you've got a safety net for the entire section. Falling sends you back here." So for that, I'm actually going to need another teleporter, whose destination is set to the same thing as that other teleporter. And then I guess just line up the teleporter exactly with the ground. So now if you fall, you'll get teleported back here. Okay, we have a bit of a problem. So I was going to go to Obby Creator and show you something I built at some point there, specifically in Ring 4. I have the slot loaded, but there's nothing here. And I tried rejoining and it did that again. Is it doing that with other things? I really hope not. But I kind of am scared to try that in case I accidentally wipe those too. If I reload it, it does the same thing. There's nothing here. I can try reverting it. Yeah, okay. We have part count 4103 from 19 hours ago. Save slot selected has no data. Okay, try this one. Alright, crisis averted. Apparently I loaded this 19 hours ago. I don't remember why, but I guess I did. This shouldn't have lost anything because I haven't built anything in this since like way before the 400 hours ago one, which I just reverted to. All right. Anyway, what I was trying to show you was this tower, Tower of Volcanic Adventures from SMToH Ring 4 and Obby Creator. This is shockingly a volcano-themed tower. So you start like along this lava river thing, and then you go into the volcano. So I want to use like some, I guess, gameplay elements throughout IO that are from Tower of Volcanic Adventures, since they're both volcano-themed. I think one of them is going to be moving parts like this, which is used again in this tower, not just right there, specifically right here, and you're supposed to run across and time it right. I think another thing I can use is similar to this, which is a high damage kill brick timed section. I can do another time section, but it's going to be insta-kills instead. So that can be one of 3 insta-kill based client objects, because each client object is going to be one of the 3 buttons, because it's going to be collect 3 buttons. And I want the section to be pretty short also, probably around a minute to a minute and a half, which I think should work well with the amount of space I'm working with here. Each button should take, if it's 90 seconds, that would be 30 seconds per button. Or if it's a minute, that would be 60 seconds divided by 3, which is 20. So 20 to 30 seconds per button. Now I've already decided what the 3 insta-kill based client objects are going to be, and 2 of them involve timers, so that's going to be pretty easy to make it be like a certain amount of time. The first one is going to be a survive the kill bricks, but instead of kill bricks, it's an insta-kill. So you got to be extra careful. It's also going to be pretty easy to avoid it. It'll be like a single spinning kill brick. Let's do like about 5 seconds of parkour leading up to that with, of course, insta-kills. I should probably go copy and paste it from over here. Yoink. I'm not going to put any of these insta-kills on the ground, so you don't have to worry about falling, but then landing on an insta-kill, so you still lose all your progress even though there's literally a safety net. So that's not something you have to worry about. So yeah, chances are on this section, probably pretty much everything is going to be some insta-kill based jump, whether it's a wraparound or whatever. I'd say this is a couple seconds. I want to do a long jump though. We're going to do a 12 stud climbable jump. I sort of want this to be on the other side though, so hold on. If you miss this, you'll get teleported back there, but of course you could still end up losing everything because of the insta-kills everywhere. So I'd like to have the hardest of these insta-kill jumps be after the hardest non-insta-kill jump, I guess. Not that a 1-stud insta-kill wrap is too difficult, but yeah. Okay, now for the survive the spinning insta-kill. So I'm gonna end up saying insta-kill so many times. 15, 1, 15 seems like a good size for this platform. Let's position it right about here. And I don't just want it to like spawn you in like a pit with a spinning kill brick, because then you might spawn directly on top of it or something, and that would be a most annoying way to die what will probably be at least like 40 minutes into your run. I don't really know how far into the tower it is, but it doesn't matter because who would want to lose their run like that? Instead, you're just going to jump to it, and it's going to press a button deactivating the escape route for however many seconds, which means you shouldn't be able to just jump straight back to here. So hold on. Instead, I will take this and move it over here. There. Now you can't jump back to there, and I'll be able to put an invisible button well, does it have to be invisible? I guess it doesn't have to be. I don't know. I'll decide that at some point. But now we need the spinning insta-kill. So if I just go take the spinning kill brick, that is not an insta-kill, but it's fine, as you are about to see. And let's see, I can center it by taking the position of this, and then selecting this model and pasting it right there. Then just moving it up. Now let me make it the color of an insta-kill, and make the particle emitter the right color as well. Somehow I just flipped my mouse over, not sure how that just happened. And I think I'm gonna make it be sized like this, although then you can just stand in a corner, so that doesn't work. There we go. Now you can't just cheese it like that. And actually, I don't want it to be right on the platform. We'll move it up half a stud too. And to make it spin slower, I'm gonna select the cylindrical constraint and let's go 0.5. That's pretty slow. So you would jump to that. Yeah, you don't even have to like jump over it. You can just walk like this. It's very easy, which I guess is good for a survive the insta-kill. Alright, now to make a proper button timer, here's what I'm going to do. Yoink. Delete the button base, and now comes the point where I decide, do I make this transparent or not? I kind of don't want to make it invisible, but I'm worried that if I make it small enough that it doesn't look ugly when it's visible, then you'll be able to like jump around it. I don't think there's any way to avoid it though, so I think this will work. And I'll make it the same color as these platforms. I also need to put the decal on the other side, so that would be bottom there. You can't really see it in the lighting, but it is there. Then I want to set button press offset, which is like how much the button like moves down when you press it. Just set that to 0 so it doesn't move. It'll instead only light up, and I'll go like 0.6, maybe like 0.8, and can collide false. And then I need to take apart. This will be the escape route that will lead you to, I guess, the actual button that is one of the 3 you're trying to collect. It'll be easy enough to jump to like that. name it button activated platform, and set its parent to button platforms. Oh wait, nope, that's not it. Add a bool value called invert. That way it's button deactivated, because we want this button, which I now need to go back to and set its timer to something. Let's go with 15 seconds. This will deactivate this for 15 seconds. And now we need the actual button that you can press after you successfully survive the insta-kill. So simply just take another button, and I think I'll put it on top of a pole like this, and I'll make it a 5x5 platform, which I'll sort of do that with the button base, because I think that looks better than if I were to do this. Like, now it just looks like a cake. Okay, let's go back to Obby Creator for a second. In this tower, this like outside part is actually counting as floors. It's 3 floors to be exact. And so the remainder of the tower is 5 floors. And like they actually have a frame. I think for the colors of the buttons on IO, I'm gonna make them be the colors of the first 3 of these floors, which is actually floors 4, 5, and 6 of the tower. So that's gonna mean this is going to be this color, the color of floor 1. Actually, you don't have to press these buttons in any particular order, but I don't know, let's just make the first one I build be the first of these floors, and then the next one I build will be the next one. So it'll be in the order I build it. In addition to IO having those references to Tower of Volcanic Adventures, it's also going to have some references to the main Jupiter floor. So we're going to have an insta-kill push box, which was something I did on the Jupiter floor. An insta-kill push box looks like you'll need a regular push box in order to move it. The spawn button is up there, so good luck getting to it. So yeah, this spawns that, but in order to get the push box that spawns here, you gotta get to this button up here. So you gotta do all this parkour. That leads you eventually to right here. To spawn that push box, then you can use this push box to push the insta-kill push box. And, I'm doing this wrong. Uh-oh. Okay, well, if you're about to knock that over, you can actually just respawn this. As long as you don't lose, this, like, regular push box, you don't have to redo all that parkour over there. There we go. Well, as this is used here, it's basically just a button section, but with more steps. So I'm going to be expanding on that insta-kill push box mechanic here, but I can't do too much because I only want this button to take about 20 to 30 seconds to get to. Basically, the way this is going to be more interesting than the first insta-kill push box is that everything is going to be insta-kill. So like on the other one, only the box itself, like the spawn button and the button you're actually pressing was not. Here though, not so much. Okay, so this button is going to be the push box button, so it is going to insta-kill you. So technically it doesn't really matter whether I have support players on or off, but I'll turn it off. But this actually can't be the colors of one of the Tower of Volcanic Adventures floors, because none of the floors were the color of an insta-kill, which normally I would make it 25500, but since we're dealing with buttons, and I've used 25500 for buttons before, as well as 254 and 253, we're going to be using 252 here, which is going to be indistinguishable though, so it doesn't really matter. Now give these the visual properties of an insta-kill. Now the push box, I can make that insta-kill you by simply adding a bool value called insta-kills. And I think I'll be able to over here as well. By the way, note the lowercase I on that. Okay, so hopefully, yeah. And it doesn't press it because I had support players off. And I didn't add insta-kills to the button yet, so I can still press that. But trying to move the push box will insta-kill you. Now I don't know if this is going to work since it's like within the same client object, but hopefully if I just add a bool value to the button itself and name that insta-kills, let's see, you try to spawn it and you get insta-killed. Alright, cool, it works. Now I can make this also be push boxes only. Like the push box spawn button is a push box only button. And I need to make sure I check yes, it will support push boxes. So push boxes can press this button. But is it color specific? No. So the box that presses this button to spawn the box doesn't have to be the color of this. If I had that option set to true, then it would. So now I actually need another push box, and this will just go on the other side so it sort of mirrors it. And we'll make it a slightly different color yellow than it is by default. To make it easier to press the button with the push box, I can also make the button base be can collide false, so it doesn't get in the way when you try to get to that. And I probably also want to move this further away, that way it's more easy to get this push box between here and here to use this push box to push this push box. So you do that, and then with some obstacles preventing it from being this easy, you would do that. And then that button would do something. What are those obstacles preventing it from being that easy? Well, guess what? It's insta-kills. Well, they're going to be insta-kill pushbox destroyers. Normally I make pushbox destroyers be this color, like this salmon color, but insta-kills are supposed to be red, so what do? Well, I'm going to make it look like that, so I'm going to make it red. And since this is not like button activated or anything, this I actually can make 255 red. And to make it insta-kill, once again, just add a bool value and name it insta-kills. I think based on the fact that this is a pushbox section, and you'll usually see like parts set up like this to be the pushbox destroyers, it will be pretty obvious these are the push box destroyers. And so I want to make sure I leave lots of space so that way it's easy to get like both boxes around. So that's going to be it. And I also need the particle emitter. Let me just copy and paste it from here. Okay, I added a sign. It says, uh-oh, another insta-kill push box. But this time, not only does the box insta-kill, but so does the spawn button, the button you're getting the box to, and the push box destroyer. Since it said push box destroyers right there, what else would these be, since it listed everything else here? Well, it didn't list that. Well, hopefully it should be obvious enough that this doesn't insta-kill, because this one is granite and red and has those particles. But this one just looks like a normal pushbox spawn button. Okay, so now I will test this whole section. Going around the corners is a little tricky. Yeah, okay, that's gonna need a nerf. I think I'm just gonna make like a little extension off to the side here. I'm slightly worried it's gonna like go inside the volcano and look ugly. Does it look bad? Yes, but there's a simple solution. And that simple solution would be selecting all the pieces of this volcano, which by the way needs some lava, and moving it over like 4 studs. In fact, that gives me a little bit more space to work with, so I can make this even more not impossible. Okay, so that will give you some space to get this push box around here so that you can get to the other side of that push box more easily. Let's give it a test. Okay, so you would do that, and then maybe go over to here, and then like this, and then that's how you can do that. And then it's pretty much like a straight enough line, so you don't have to do anything weird like that for the rest of that section. Then you would press that button, which would activate like one of the trusses or whatever I decide to do over there. Okay, well, I've built 2/3 of this section now, and yet the only reference to Tower of Volcanic Adventures was the color of this button. So we'll do both the things I talked about as I was playing it earlier on this last one, which is a timed section, similar to the one with the high damage kill breaks from Tower of Volcanic Adventures, except instead of high damage kill breaks, they're insta-kills. By the way, like most of the distant objects in the solar system, Io is pretty cold, so I think it would make sense that I put some ice platforms. I think, like, with the volcanoes, which I guess is lava, I think that's an interesting contrast with a cold moon. So, yeah, ice parts, I should put some of those. I'm just gonna take a couple of the platforms I placed earlier and just replace them with ice. Hopefully that shouldn't make any of these jumps too difficult. I suppose I can nerf it, I guess, by doing that. There. That's slightly easier. Okay, but now I need to get to building this timed section. So here's where the button that, like, starts it is gonna be. I'm going to leave it as can collide true, so you can just like jump off of the ice onto there. You'll probably still be able to press it. And to be consistent with this platform here, I'm going to put an insta-kill right here. Alright, and now I get building the time section. So like the main platforms, they're going to be this color. Currently they're just in the obby folder, but I'll move them to the button platforms folder after I build this. Actually, you know what? I can't have the insta-kills be activated by the button unless I make them a color that makes you think they're not insta-kills. So technically I can, but I just would not prefer to. So that means the insta-kills here, they can't actually be activated by the button. So I'm just going to have to, like, do things like this. You know what, since this was a regular part with an insta-kill on top, this can be an insta-kill with a regular part on top. Funny. Or actually I can make it a button-activated platform like these. Then your foot might, like, clip through or something. Okay, let me just do that. There. Okay, so after all these timed jumpies, you will end up right here with a button similar to the one over there. We have our 3 buttons now, but we're still missing one thing I talked about as I was playing Tower of Volcanic Adventures. And that would be these, like, moving parts that all move in a wave like this. So I tried to do that, but the moving parts in the tower kit work differently than those in Obby Creator, particularly there's no move offset. Well, I can add a weight to the code, which kinda works, but it seems not reliable enough to get the offsets just right to create a perfect wave. That did not work at all. Why? I also tried setting each moving part's delay, or second it spends in each position, to be 0.1 seconds apart, but that seemed to have the same issue of not being very reliable. Well, so much for that. I ended the floor extension with a few platforms activated by the 3 buttons, and then an elevator taking you back to the main area. After Io, you will do parkour leading to Saturn, but for now it's just a temporary conveyor. Similarly, after Saturn, I put a temporary conveyor leading to Titan, that once again will be replaced with real parkour later. So as I was saying at the start of this video, Titan has surface liquid methane. Methane is a gas at room temperature and has a boiling point of negative 260 degrees Fahrenheit, or 162 degrees Celsius. Titan's temperatures are lower than that, so methane is below its boiling point but still above its melting point, so it's a liquid. So Titan's surface has lakes of methane, and that's going to be used in the gameplay of the floor extension. It'll have a swimming section where you must swim through a lake and find 3 buttons while slowly taking damage. You better not take too long though, because your healing is disabled until you complete the floor extension. But first I need to build some terrain. The landscape has been installed. As you can see, we have this space here for some terrain water. So let me go to View, then click Terrain Editor, and I want to go Edit, and just select, and then click and drag just to like generate a little area like this. Then I can make the necessary modifications to it. I want to basically just resize this box so that it fills the space that I want to be filled with terrain water. I'd say this is a good level for the water to go up to. So now I want to go to fill, and I want to find water and just click fill. There we go. Now obviously I don't want it to be blue. This is where the WaterColorChanger comes in. It will remain blue in the studio view unless I just change it, which I will for just a second to decide a color I like. I was thinking I'd maybe have it like white, like gray maybe, but I kind of want it to match the color of this. How about like this color? Okay, I can just click cancel. I typed those numbers somewhere so I can remember them when I want to go here, and I can just paste them in. There we go. Hopefully what will happen now, there's no reason it shouldn't, but hopefully I can just step wherever that was and it'll change the color. Yeah, with different levels of graphics, it'll look different, but I think this will work. And you can see what it's like to swim underneath here as well. If I set my graphics to minimum, it looks like that, which still works. Here's what it looks like underwater. I mean, under methane. The next thing I need to do is take the RegenRateChanger. I'm actually just gonna go ahead and take this one instead of copying it. This was the one that sets it to 0. And also I'm probably not gonna use any of these again in the rest of the tower, except for another one after the Titan section, which will set your regen rate back to the default of 0.01. Alright, so as you can see, if I take some damage from this kill brick, I am not regenerating. So there aren't gonna be any insta-kills on this section, but you do still want to avoid the kill bricks as much as possible, since there's no way to regenerate any health until after you complete the whole section. There will be some like mandatory damage that's unavoidable, such as damage you'll slowly take as you go swimming in liquid methane, because don't try swimming in liquid methane at home, kids. Alright, I also put in a lighting changer that will create a fog end that I think looks nice. Not sure if I'm going to do a skybox. I don't really feel like going into Obby Creator and then trying to figure out the textures from the F9 menu. If you want to know how to do that, I talked about that in like some videos. You should watch them. I might look into doing that. I don't know. I also kind of like this. I'm also kind of lazy, so do keep that in mind. Anyway, let's get building some gameplay. I'm going to make the platforms here be the same color as the fog end, which is also pretty much the same color as this. I say pretty much because when it's neon, it makes it brighter than you actually set it, so I set the material to be smooth plastic. Then I like just changed this color until it looked like it was about the same, so that's why I figured out the color to set the fog end to. For any neon I use here, I'm going to make it be the same color as that, except like I was just explaining, that's supposed to be a pretty similar color to this, as you can see here. So what I'm going to do is make it a little bit brighter so it has a little bit of a neon glow, which will look nice for neon. I'm going to go for using lots of wedges on this gameplay, so like things like this. Let's see, maybe I can like rotate that. I can put like a similar shape to that. And I'll also use some regular parts too. So similar-ish to the way I kind of set up what I was doing at the asteroid belt, where I like started by placing a bunch of parts, sort of lining out the path, if you remember how I did that. Main difference here, though, is I'm going to be putting the various walls closer together. Alright, all these things are here, and I even built a little bit of gameplay to go along with it, but I'll build the rest of it now. First of all, the route I think it's going to go is pretty much just the order I built it, like around this way probably, and then up here, and over here, and then like over that way. There'll be like a button or something right there. I think I might do like, similar to down here. No, down here, I knew it was straight down. Like a morpher button, and then like a huge wall, like, goes down. So you start by going up this truss, and so we need some jumps that you'll go around here. I could start with like a part like here. So you would wrap from here to here. Maybe that's a pretty tricky jump, but it's like the second jump of this section, so yeah. You have a safety net the whole time, but I do want to use kill bricks, like, carefully. Also, yes, that's definitely possible. There. Okay, yeah, that is possible. Given the no natural regeneration, I can do some, like, clever things like this. So right here, you can do an easier jump to cost a kill brick hit, or you can do a harder jump to not. Okay, let's see. Now I can add more walls as I build the parkour. I think this will work, and I can then put another stud, like, here. Yeah, this is mostly going to be purist. Probably other than the kill bricks, it will be. And right here, I can put, like, a ladder. So you can go like that, and then you can like ladder flick off to somewhere. Or I could do an easier jump and cost a kill brick hit, or a harder jump and not. So I'll put like a kill brick on top of there, if you want to jump to that, which will make jumping somewhere easier. How about right here? And put a wedge there so it looks nice. Okay, that was super easy. Need to move it to a more difficult to reach location. Okay, a little more difficult. Or you can like do that And so the gameplay is going to be pretty similar like that. Okay, actually I am kind of going around this way, it looks like. Well, whatever. But the gameplay is going to be pretty much that until you get to wherever the button is. For now, I'll put it right here. Let me go grab a button. Or actually a morpher. Or actually, it'll probably be easier just copy and paste the one from down here. Let me line it up so that the currently visible wall is lined up how I want it to be, going just below, like, the ground. And you shouldn't be able to, like, jump over it. But I mean, I don't want it to completely block the lake. I can probably make it transparent. And also I want it to be that color. If I go 0.6 transparency, then I can also, like, weld 0 transparency part to it. I think I want to make this be, like, not inlet though, just regular studs. And we'll go 2 studs like that. If I rename this welded part, add a weld constraint, weld that to that. It shouldn't do anything weird so long as new morph is the same size. Currently it doesn't move down very far. I can fix that by doing that. I don't want it to move down all the way, but enough so that you can still see it, but you can very easily jump over it. Yeah, so that should move it down as long as that doesn't get in the way of anything below here, which it doesn't, then we should be good. And I think that'll work now. So you press the button. Oh, I forgot to unanchor that. Yoink. Okay, now that should move with it. Yes. And I can also adjust some timings maybe, or I kind of like it. I don't know. It'll probably depend on how far away this button ends up being from that. Now it's time to build a liquid methane swimming section. All right, I took a moment to put in some signs. This one tells you a little bit about the moon and the fact that healing is disabled. This one tells you about the swimming section. I'll read that in just a minute, but first I want to put that sign on like a little dock thing. I think that'd be kind of cool. You won't actually be required to go on the dock technically, but you probably still should and read that because it contains important information. I'll bet you're so excited to hear what that important information is. I'll bet you just can't wait for me to finish building this dock so that you can hear what this super important information is. Alright, here's my amazing dock. Okay, maybe it could use some work. Whatever. Navigate through the lake ahead and find the 3 buttons. Once you press the last one, you'll be teleported back here. Be quick because you'll slowly take damage while you're swimming. Disclaimer, don't swim in liquid methane at home, kids. Ooh, actually, now that I think about it, I don't really know how to make it so it teleports you when you press the last button. Actually, yeah, I do. That is, if you don't press them in a specific order, which is what I have in mind here. What I'm going to do is each button, in addition to whatever it does, is going to deactivate a part, one of 3 parts, like next to a push box. And so when you've deactivated the 3 of them, the push box can fall down onto a push box button, which will activate an invisible teleporter, teleporting you back to, like, here or somewhere. I think similar to the gameplay here, the swimming section will have a bunch of parts. I would like them to not be rotated all the way. It'll just have a bunch of parts everywhere, which will make it more difficult to see and hopefully more difficult to find the buttons, but not too difficult because you have a limited time before you die. So yes, you're probably going to want to save as much health as you can during the part over there. I will keep that in mind as I decide how much kill bricks I want to put to make you take damage as you're swimming. I probably could do this with like a custom client object or something, but I think it would just be easier if I just make a moving kill brick. Okay, so I'm going to put A1 like this, just going all the way across the lake like that. Then I'm going to copy and paste its size, position, and orientation properties onto here. So now A2 is in the same position, just move it to the other side. Actually, I do want it to go all the way over here, like to that shore, which I need to make that be the case over here as well. I would like invisible positions to be on. Actually, I want to apply the size, position, and orientation to the platform itself as well. And then I need to make this be a kill brick. So add a bool value that's called kills. Note the lowercase k. Make it invisible, and it's already can collide false. And it's probably also a good idea to have like the 2 positions of it to be like all the way outside of this area. I think that'll just like work better. I mean, it probably won't make a difference, but I may as well. So, okay, it seems to be working. As I swim around, I'm slowly taking damage because that kill brick is moving back and forth, and I'm slowly taking damage. If I want to make it so that I take damage slower, I can just increase the delay so that it stays at each position for longer. I probably will want to make it go a little bit slower than this, but we'll see. So now to make the buttons more hidden and less super easy to find, I'm going to scatter a bunch of different platforms around like this, similar to what I did over here, but perhaps a little bit more spaced out. I think this will be good enough for now. I suppose how many things I put here, and therefore how long you'll probably spend to find all the buttons, will be determined just as I build all the parkour and see how many kill bricks there are and things like that. Of course, we do need the actual buttons, so yoink. What I'm going to do is delete the button base and make it be a cube like this, and duplicate the decal, and I want to put the new decal on the bottom. Alright, here are the 3 buttons with their colors, and I want them to be can collide false, and I probably should have done this before I duplicated them, but I want button press offset for all of them to be 0. That way it does not move at all when I press the button. And I'll leave them fully opaque also. I don't think there's really a need for them to be semi-transparent. And then just hide them somewhere, and I can rotate them a bit for variation. Okay, let's give it a try. I'm slowly taking damage, although I didn't actually hit the healing disabler, so I will actually regenerate. But you can see, you just swim around and press the buttons. Once you get the last one, you should probably just like hold space and try to get back up here as fast as you can and to the shore. And I guess I can have this rock here be the start of the last little section of parkour of this floor extension, which will be pretty similar to this, but with some button activated platforms, or perhaps button deactivated platforms. Let's go with deactivated platforms, why not? And those button deactivated platforms would of course be deactivated by the buttons in here. Actual gameplay will be here eventually, but for now, it will literally just be button deactivated walls. Alright, and there we go. That's everything I wanted to get done in today's video. So the last thing to do is play everything I built start to finish. Okay, so the Jupiter floor, the main Jupiter floor, ends with the end of that rising metallic hydrogen section. So then you get teleported to here. And you can take a break here, there's no timers or anything, but when you're ready, it's more if you fall you lose everything. But don't worry, I made this section very easy. It's some very easy slanty wraparounds, and some of them you don't even really have to wrap around. Well, that one you do. Here you can just jump up there, and is in fact what you should do. On this X pusher, you can basically just hold W, where you're trying to get these things to go through the gaps so that the X pusher can as well. What you shouldn't do is like stop holding W, because if you like are going really fast, and then like, you know, that could happen. I was holding A there, but see that? If that happens and then it like stops suddenly on one of these, then you could get flung off the whole thing. But if you get back to the start and it does that, I do have that wall there, so yeah. But I mean, if you fall like that, you don't really have an excuse for that. I'm sorry, because all you had to do is just hold W. By the way, did you notice it says IO right there? Because IO was up there. Get it? Alright, you have a safety net on this rather more difficult compared to that, where you have a couple wall hops and then a 10 stud wrap. That is just a quick difficulty spike over a safety net. Might I remind you, this is insane though, so that's not too big of a deal, I think. Wow, thanks Roblox Studio glitch that does that when you go into shift lock. Then you have a couple more slanty wraps before going on what's currently a temporary teleporter. Not sure how I'll do like the transition, but yeah. Welcome to Io, a moon of Jupiter with lots of volcanoes. There's insta-kill lava everywhere up ahead, but luckily you've got a safety net for the entire section. Falling sends you back here. I just added another sign right there that says find 3 buttons to progress. I meant to do that. But also, you don't actually have to do that, because I forgot to make these be button activated. You can do these in any order. Let's go the order I built them, though. So, first, you got, like, a few jumps. Most of them have a few just, like, normal jumps. Well, normal, other than nearly every jump being insta-kill. That's a 12-stud climbable, so make sure you line that up right. But there is a safety net, of course. And make sure you very carefully do that insta-kill wrap. But each button section does have like a client object challenge, an insta-kill based challenge. For example, this one is survive the insta-kill. It's very easy though, as long as you just jump to it at the right time and then just walk around in a circle like this. I mean, you could like jump over it like that. I wouldn't recommend it though, since that's a little bit risky for no reason. But once that timer runs out, this will reactivate. You can come up here, press this button, and then just jump down to get teleported back. Alright, time for the insta-kill push box. Uh-oh, another insta-kill push box, but this time not only does the box insta-kill, but so does its spawn button, the button you're getting the box to, and the push box destroyers. This spawn button, though, is fine to touch, and you need to use that to push that, and then this to push this. So yes, basically everything is an insta-kill, and in order for you not to die, just use the inanimate push box, which does not have a health bar, or it doesn't have a humanoid, which is required for these insta-kills to, like, work. Alright, there's the button. And after that, you can just go back over here. That was probably unnecessarily risky. I mean, that's an easy jump, but probably just go around. Or, wait, just do that. Okay, then you got an ice wraparound. No insta-kills there, luckily, except up there, but that's just for decoration at this point. And I never... Hold on. I forgore to make these button activated. Okay, so you can jump to that button. It's kind of quite true. I set the timer to 20. I think that should be enough. Go fast enough to not run out of time, but not so fast that you end up hitting an insta-kill. Once again, when you press the button, you can just jump down to go back to here. Oh, because I exited the game, I have to press those again, which means I have to do this again. Great. With all 3 buttons pressed, these are here. Do make sure you jump over the insta-kills again. And there we go. That's the end of that. And there's that transition to here. So at this point, you would then do a bunch of parkour that would be here. I think I'll maybe have the parkour between the outer planets, since they're further away, be more like spaced out, like with more things that just cover some distance, like maybe conveyor launches with long conveyors and X pushers and things, rather than the like densely packed together parkour such as over here. Okay, so the Saturn floor ends at the end of its rising metallic hydrogen section. You will take the escape route, And similar to before, you'll land in this box here. That's not where that sign is supposed to be. I meant to put that over there in that box after Titan. Let me move it. Wait, I did put one there. I forgot to delete this one. That's what happened. Anyway, in this box, you will then complete more parkour that's currently just a temporary conveyor, and that will teleport you to here. Some lighting effects will change, the water color will change, and your regen rate will be set to 0. Welcome to Titan, the largest moon of Saturn. This moon is unique because it's the only place in the solar system besides Earth with surface liquid. Here you'll find lakes of liquid methane on a landscape reminiscent of home. There are no insta-kills on this moon, but still be extra careful of kill bricks because healing is disabled until you finish all the gameplay on this moon. Well, not much of the gameplay is here yet, but what I have built is fairly representative of what I have planned. If I could just land that jump. Kind of annoying with the Roblox Studio camera sensitivity, and that I have a skill issue. Oh, I took some damage. Alright. I definitely meant to do that to demonstrate that I'm not regenerating any health. Why do I keep falling? An idea I did have is maybe like there are some red kill bricks and some green kill bricks or something. Or some way of indicating like kill bricks that you have to jump to and others that you can skip. Or maybe you just have to look carefully. For example, if you're just rushing through, you'll probably just jump to that since that's the next platform. Rather than thinking it through, I can probably jump to here and skip over that. I may do some things like that, rather than like make a choice. Do you want to do the easy jump and cost a kill brick hit? There's a temporary truss here. Parkour will go around throughout these at some point, but for now, you can just climb up that truss to get to this morpher button, which will lower down this wall similar to on Mercury. Navigate through the lake ahead and find 3 buttons. Once you press the last one, you'll be teleported back here. Be quick because you'll slowly take damage while you're swimming. Disclaimer, don't swim in liquid methane at home, kids. Oh yeah, I forgot to set up the teleporting thing. Well, I did explain how I'm gonna do that, so just imagine it does that. You know what, I'll do a very advanced technique known as a cut, just like the cut I did there, and the one I'm not gonna do. Oh, well, I guess I did do a cut there, because I hit the last button. So like I said, after you press the last button, just go up to the nearest shore and then make your way over to there. With all the buttons, you will have deactivated these walls. This will be gooder gameplay at some point, and that will actually go up to the top, but for now, it is another one of those, and this time, this is the end for the time being. That sign isn't in the wrong place. Well, we did it. That was the floor 6 and 7 extensions of Io and Titan, respectively. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe. While these 2 moons, they had a video specifically about building them, the moons that I'll be building of Uranus and Neptune, they will not have a video and will just be included in the video of building that planet. Also, unlike Jupiter and Saturn, which were 2-part videos, those will be single-part videos. Therefore, the remaining videos of this series, well, of the building at least, are the building of Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss those or any other future videos. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next one, and have a great day.